What's up, everyone? Welcome. Daniel, Steve, Chops, Tapfinger, Mark, Brett, welcome. Omagoo, Ron, Ryan, good to see everybody. Been working on a video tonight. You can see my Marshall right here. What's up, Ethan? Rich, Anthony, Body Knowledge. What's with the thumbs down? Oh man, I don't know. There's somebody does thumbs down now. I'm getting like I got some trolls on here that don't like me. It's either that or there's actually literally some bots that come on here. So it could be one of those. Or there's some hater on here or something that I insulted sometime, which is not hard to believe. Anyways, so working on a video. Been working on it for the last few hours. Not me. Tom, you've read them. You've read them all. It probably is Pat from Train. Pagan, you like me? You just enjoy disliking videos? I hope it's not you. If I ban you, will it go away? Let's see. I'm just kidding. Ryan, you got Instagram. Well, that's good because I'm going to have extra clips on every video I make. I'm going to have clips on Instagram now. I have a great one for my new chili peppers video I'm putting out tomorrow. What's up, Alan? I've got an interesting clip for Instagram that I took out of the video. But I think it's really interesting. It's probably going to take a couple clips, but it's an interesting comparison that I did. But I didn't want to piss Rick Rubin off if he watched the video, so I'm going to put it on Instagram only. Why is this song bad? No, Joe. Why is this song bad? That's a long list. I know Instagram, right? Anyways, so I was talking to my cousin Lynn wrote to me. I have one uncle on my dad's side that's still living. It's my Uncle Bill. He's my uncle by marriage. He was married to my Aunt Mary, who's my godmother, and I asked her how he's doing, and he's going to be 90. And she said he's doing okay. And I was thinking about Uncle Bill, who taught me some incredibly great lessons when I was a kid. And I was thinking about them today, that a lot of these things shaped my personality, I guess, or shaped at least my thinking, because Uncle Bill would always, he'd hire me for jobs around his house, painting things, paint the trim of the house, do odd jobs. It was only, before I was able to work or anything. And I remember one time, so he lived in the house, he and my Aunt Mary lived in the house that my dad grew up in, which was 2 blocks from my folks. Yeah, so my Uncle Bill was in World War II. He's seen a lot of changes, and he was a very hip guy. And I remember one time I was cracking up about this, thinking about this. So in the back of my dad's, so the house that he and my Aunt Mary lived in was the one that my dad grew up in. So they got the house in the early 20s. And so they had this area called the Muck. This is that's what they call this really black soil in upstate New York, in Rochester, Fairport, the town that I grew up in. They called it muck. It was really, really incredibly rich black soil. It was out in their backyard, and they had a really big garden out there with corn, with all different types of vegetables. So he would have me go and weed the garden, do things like that, just by hand. So the first time he had me do it, he gets a wheelbarrow out and he says, okay, so how do you want me to pay you? Do you want me to pay you by the row or by the pound of weeds? And I looked at all the rows. I said, oh, definitely by the row. He's like, okay, great. So I start taking these weeds out and I put them in the thing. And they've got dirt on them and everything. And I get the wheelbarrow filled up with the first batch, and I can barely move the thing. And he said, and and he says, I said, oh man, Uncle Bill, why didn't I do it? Why didn't I do it by the weight? He goes, live and learn. It's the only way you learn things. Then another time, he said to me, I said, I don't know how it came up. I said, oh, I could drink a gallon of water. He says, no, you can't. No chance. I was about 12 years old or so. And he goes, I'll bet you $5 that you can't drink a gallon of water. I said, how long do I have? He goes, take as long as you want. I said, I could do it in 5 minutes. And of course, I got through about, a quart. And he's like, take your time. Come back tomorrow if you want. So I learned so much from Uncle Bill. All these kind of things like that. It was really, really amazing. All these life lessons from Uncle Bill. And he's still with us. Almost 90. Going to be 90 in a couple months. How great is that, right? But I think about that stuff when I'm doing this. I remember too. I went to Uncle Bill and Aunt Mary when I was in grad school. I had I know people have died drinking too much water. I know, but I've heard that, but I don't know if it's really true. It probably is, but so Uncle Bill knew I'd give up long before that. When I was after my first year at New England Conservatory, over the summer, I had a buddy of mine that was at Eastman called me up and said, "Hey, I've got this gig. I want you to play guitar in this big band down in Aruba." And I said, "How long is the gig?" He says, 4 months. So you have to take the fall semester off. And I said, "How much does it pay?" And he says, $500 a week, all your meals included. There's only one performance a night for 45 minutes, or maybe two sets, maybe it's an hour and a half. And your room and everything is all paid for. So I say to my dad, and my dad says, "No way, you're not taking off. You'll never go back you'll never go back and finish your degree." I was halfway through my master's degree. I'd done my first year. And I said, "Dad, I'm going to take it off. I'm going to probably make 8-9 grand or so doing this, something like that, And he says, "No way you're going to do it, and or no way you're going to go back." And I first went over and I asked my Uncle Bill what I should do. And he said, "Oh, I would take the gig." He goes, "When are you going to get a chance to do this again? Just go back as soon as it's done. Go back and finish." And my dad was really against it. And then my Uncle Bill called my dad and said, "Mike, let him go. It's be a good experience." So I did. I took a semester off. I went to Aruba and played in a big band. All, Duke Ellington and Woody Herman and, whatever. Just big band, all big band music. Even modern, we did charts, modern charts and things like that. And I took one semester off and I came back to NEC in January. And it wasn't even January when I got back to Boston. It was even before January. So I was really only gone for a few months. Made the money, and lived on the beach, and And I finished. Unlike my dad was like, "You're never going to finish," blah, blah, blah. And it's funny when I look back on it, my dad, you know, I'm a finisher. My dad never finished anything. He was, and when I say that, I only mean in the construction stuff he did around the house. Everything was half done. And looking back on it, my mom used to always be like, "Man, your father never finishes anything with this." You know, he started putting up drywall here and he left it half done. He's going to fix this and he left it half done, all this stuff. My dad was always leaving all his projects are half done. And, and I think my dad thought that I was going to be like that and not finish school. Yet everything that I did proved that that was not the case and how I was. And it's interesting to think back about it, to think back on it, that I always finished everything. You know, you've seen a contractor's bathroom was never you've never seen a contractor's bathroom that's finished exactly, right? Um, but but I finished everything, everything. My dad, my dad was so OCD. That's in the Beato, on the Beato side. Um, my Aunt Mary, my dad's sister, Uncle Bill's wife, um, she would. She's like, you want a peanut butter jelly sandwich? What do you want? You want some food? You want peanut butter jelly? Yeah, I'll have a PB and J. And she says, all of a sudden, she gets out the peanut butter and she butters it for no lie, 15 minutes straight, just over it, back, over it, over it, over it with the peanut butter, just never stopping. And I'd say, Aunt Mary, what are you doing? Oh, okay, all right. And then she would put the jelly on and just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And finally, after about 20 minutes, she'd have the sandwich done. And she'd iron a shirt for 30 minutes, you know? So I think that's where that Beato side is where I get this attention to detail and the ability to do things over and over and over and over. Um, that's definitely there's definitely a genetic basis for that, no question about it. These kind of OCD things run in families. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. It's not. I wouldn't say OCD. It wasn't. There was no disorder. There was no D. It was just obsessive compulsive. Maybe it was just obsessive. Um, uh, so it's interesting though that on my dad's side, there's actually it's not only my Uncle Bill, but I have a cousin, my cousin Mary, that is she's 86 and she's in very good health, but she's from that generation, um, and that's it. So there's only two people from that generation on my dad's side, which is really amazing. Uncle Bill was stationed in the South Pacific during World War II. Um, I mean, it's really unbelievable. So, you know, I mean, when I was growing up, everybody was, you know, fought in World War II. It was not. I mean, I'm 56 years old. You know. Anyway, so it's just crazy. It just blows my mind. Uncle Bill's going to be 90. Man. Um, yeah, so they had two kids, my cousin Lynn that wrote to me and my cousin Dan Brown. It was my Uncle Bill Brown, but his son Dan was is probably the funniest human being I've ever met, I've ever known. My cousin Dan could easily have been a great comedian. Um, he he's just unbelievable. I have. I'm gonna have to have Dan. I'm gonna get him to next time he comes to Atlanta. I'm gonna have to get him to come here and come on the show. Man, he's funny. He is unbelievably funny. So, anyways, um, so Chops, your grandma's 97. Look at that. It's unreal. Did he write the Da Vinci Code? No, not that one. Um, do a vlog. You guys smoke any what? No smoking here. Oh wait, are you talking to somebody else, Eli? Don't have conversations while I'm talking. It's like talking in class. Um, anyways, trying to think what else. Okay, so who hasn't subscribed to my Instagram? You know, it's funny because Paul was saying the other day, he says, you're just like you are. Um, it's just like you were when you were a teacher. Even though you're just talking to your camera. And I said, I'm not talking to my camera. I'm talking to everybody right out there. I see them all. I know them all. I know everybody on there. I see you, Ron, Ray, everybody. Ronald, Drive By Troll. No Insta here. Well, get on my Instagram and watch my Queens of the Stone Age. So I'm going to start posting stuff on my Instagram. You'll see you'll see a thing in the middle of my new video that I put out tomorrow where I'll tell you where there's going to be new clips. I'm going to start adding clips that I don't have in my videos. Stuff that I actually little bits that I would get that would get my video banned, I think. Because I want to add some extra. Instagram right now at least avoids blockers. There's a couple extra things. I want to do a comparison between different songs that I would definitely might get blocked for in the video. And I can do it on Instagram because I think it's really interesting. That it'll be an interesting perspective on the Chili Peppers song that I do tomorrow. I had this idea. I had it in the video, but I took it out. But it's pretty interesting. I think you'll hear it and you'll go, whoa, wow. It's the kind of thing that I notice. Well, I'm not going to give it away. I don't want to give it away now. But I can't tell you what kind of comparison, Tom. It's a comparison between different bands, but a similarity between songs. What do I use for video editing? I use Final Cut Pro. Although I do have the Adobe Suite. I've got, what's it called? Premiere. But Dylan has that. Better rhythm section, Getty and Neil or Sting and Stewart? Oh, I mean, they're so different. You can't, that's like apples and oranges. There's no comparison between the, what's up, Joe? No difference between, no similarities between the two bands. I mean, man, I can't even think of. They're pretty different. Can I post on YouTube when you have to put something up on Instagram so we don't have to join? I don't know if you need to join to. You can go to Instagram on your browser and watch stuff through your browser. I do that all the time. What's up, Kinch? Um, I watch Instagram videos on the browser, but this is something interesting. So somebody writes to me, Instagram is not in stereo, and I said, yo, bro, it is in stereo if you have over 5,000 followers. Um, yes, and you can sign into Instagram using Facebook, obviously, but you can go to Instagram through a browser. As long as you got just use an email that you never use, and you don't have to deal with it. Um, just Google Rick Beato on Instagram; it'll take you right to it, and then you can play the stuff. Um, anyways, so here, thank you, Joe. Uh, you don't have Facebook, Nare? What's up? You guys got to watch Nare's new video on arpeggios that she did today. That's really great. Love it. Love it. Um, so I'm trying to think what else. Um, oh, so I was at Guitar Center today for a minute, and I was telling the story earlier, but I was at Guitar Center, and I'm looking at a guitar, and this guy goes, "Are you Rick? You're YouTube Rick, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And introduced myself, and he says, he goes, "First question, man, I love your channel. How do you get the tracks? What are you using to get the tracks? What is it? How do you decide on what you're going to do, and how do you get the tracks? Or how do you isolate the tracks? Something like that." I was like, "Dude, I got the tracks, man." I was going to do the isolator plugin, but I figured, nah, I didn't want to get into it. I just thought it was funny. And then I get up to pay. I bought some thumb picks. Where's Kinch? Kinch, I was finding some thumb picks like you use, and I bought some to try out. It's like a pick with a thumb. It's a regular pick with a thumb. So, anyways, I get up to the thing to buy my picks, and I've actually bought a couple different types of thumb picks, Kinch. I think I got the kind that you use actually. Um, so I get up there to pay, and the guy behind the counter is like, "Hey man, how do you like that TC reverb pedal?" And I was like, "What? What?" He goes, "The TC reverb pedal." I said, "Oh." I said, "Man, I bought that a few months ago. I like it a lot." I said, "How do you know that I bought that?" He goes, "Oh, I watch your YouTube channel, and I saw that you used it in one of your videos or something like that, and you bought it from me." And I was like, "Oh, brother, I got to watch what I buy now, right?" Uh, you guys are like looking at what I'm buying. He's thinking like, "Man, what's this guy doing with these weird thumb picks?" Uh, Kinch, what is the brand of thumb pick that you use? Because I think that it's the same kind. I recognize I thought I recognized the name on it, and wondering if it might help my thumb or if it actually might hurt my thumb to do that. But I was thinking that when you're using it, that the thumb pick will free up the free up the Fred Kelly thumb picks. Okay, the thumb pick can free up the index finger as well to for hybrid picking. So then it's really like, well, I mean, it's kind of like if you're playing classical guitar, anyways, except your thumb is more like you would use a pick. Mark Knopfler, right, with a claw hammer thing, or Lindsey Buckingham. Um, anyway, so I bought a few different kinds of thumb picks to try out. That's um, I I'm doing a Dire Straits video, and um, that money for nothing lick is very weird to play. Um, Very weird to play. I remember watching a video with Mark Knopfler, him saying that I don't know if he even knew that what how he played it, if he could even remember. But he was playing something like it, but it wasn't quite exactly it. But man, that's got to be one of the greatest guitar sounds ever. Um, Fred Kelly, you can flat pick. Kinch. So that's Kinch O'Kane. You hear me call him Kinch. You see. Says here, there's so much you can do with thumb pick. Fred Kelly Bumblebee, you can flat pick, hybrid sweep, swybrid. You made a video about that too. I got to see your video, Kinch. Um, Better soloist, George Lynch or Vito Bratta? Don't ask my friend Chris. He'll have a meltdown between those two. Tom, instead of up down picking, speed picking, use thumb and index finger for speed picking. Yeah, there are certain things that I can play that, I mean, a lot of things that are just, obviously impossible unless you're Steve Morse to play alternate picking licks. But even Steve Morse, I mean, there's certain things that you just that you cannot play. You have to use some type of hybrid picking. There was nobody that ever talked about that back in the day, but I learned about hybrid picking from Joe Pass, honestly, because he used his. You could tell when I started learning stuff off Virtuoso. I knew that there's no way you could tell that he was alternate picking with a pick. He went to fingers later on in the 70s, but Virtuoso, which is his best record and best sounding, all the single note lines, or most of them, are done with a pick. And then he's chording and he's doing hybrid picking with it, with the other fingers, with at least the ring and middle finger, with M and A. So that's kind of when I started doing it, and then I realized that you could play lines that way. Swybrid Nation, there you go, right? You learned hybrid picking from Steve Howe. Did Steve Howe do that? Interesting. Is Steve Morris getting arthritis or something? I don't know. We all get arthritis eventually. Nels Lofgren uses thumb pick. It's just something, people that my thumb's good, Nari. It's good today. It's weird. It's, some days I've been up and down with it over the past couple weeks. And today feels great. But when I don't eat anything, since I'm doing my fasting thing at night, all the inflammation goes away except for my neck. Steve Morris is wearing a brace on his right hand. Looks like he picks with a lot of tension. I saw the cracking the code with him, and he's always done that. I mean, he's always, he uses brute force completely. That's always his thing. But look, everybody that you get to a certain age, if you live long enough, it becomes difficult to play. Certain pianists can play into their 80s and have no problem, but yeah, tendonitis. Yeah, killed Keith Emerson. Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, he does pick like that, Kench. You're right. Horowitz played. What do you live to? 87 or so. Yes, Andrew, I'm doing intermittent fasting, and it seems to be very, very helpful. I'm a very heavy snacker, and I like to eat at night, and that's really bad. Morris Matheny Jacko, University of Miami. There you go, Brett. Those were the days, right? And Kinch, when were you at University of Miami? Um, Alex Lifeson's got issues like that. Well, my brother played golf with Alex Lifeson. He says he plays okay. So obviously his hands don't hurt that much if he's playing golf. Bad eating habits, life of musician. Um, oh man, Segovia. He played in the. I have a tape of him playing in 1978, a cassette that I recorded off of off of. He played at the White House, so 78 would have been Jimmy Carter. Had Segovia play, and he played the fugue in A minor. It's really a G minor fugue, but he did this A minor fugue, and he sounded great on it. And he had to been, I don't know, he had to been in the 80s then, maybe 90, something like. No, I think he lived to be 94. Kinch, you were there in 86, graduated in 90, taught there for 17 years. Okay, so 86, you were there a ways after, a decade or so, a decade or more after. Um, was Jason Becker the next evolution of shred guitar? Where would he have gone if he didn't contract ALS? You know, how do you know? That's what would have happened if Lincoln lived. Um, you only know the certainties of things that do happen, and even then, the history of it gets screwed up somehow half the time. Um, Although it's interesting to ponder these things, right? I mean, it's unbelievably tragic. The positive side of it is that people that develop ALS in their 20s can live normal lifespans. Look at Stephen Hawking. People that have early onset ALS typically can live, unless they have some other type of, uh, you know, infection from a bed sore or something like that, can live, till they're a normal lifespan, like Stephen Hawking. Um, Frank, is there any way to get your tapes of Iden? Could you let him sell them with your merch? Um, I'd have to talk to Iden about that. I'll talk to him. Did I ever figure out who Smitty was talking about with Brecker? Did he mean Don Grolnick? I don't know. I need to ask him, actually. I need to ask him. Um, Jocko would have straightened up and evolved. I mean, it's hard to say what Jocko would have done. Um, it's really hard to say. Um, I think we're going to listen to some music, though. Let's see here. Jocko and Stevie Ray in a band together. There you go. Let's see here. What am I going to play? It was an amazing time, Kench. I'm sure, man. Wow. Those were, you know, that was the time. I mean, I liked going to school when I did. Um, I have a video on feel that I'm trying to do right now. But I'm trying to figure out. I have clips all assembled on feel. Um, and but I'm not sure how I want to make the video. I have got some ideas though, but um I'm thinking about this. On the beat, ahead of the beat, behind the beat. I can't decide if it's going to be a human versus machine video or if it talks about feel. Copperfield Jonesy, nice. Where's the feel? Oh, brother. Okay, feel is hard because it's a taste issue. The clips I have are definitely not a taste issue. I'll play you some of them here. I'll play a couple of them. Let's see here. There's no feel of dreams. That's great, Tom. I like that. Okay, so here's some of the clips that I have for my feel thing. Okay, you ready? Check it out. Art of the feel. I like that. Sorry. Okay, I was saying that feel can come in a lot of different forms, right? This is Wes here. Oh, that's just smoking. Listen. The bass player and him are just going nuts here. Listen. The next one is Elvin and Train. This one was McCoy, and check this out. I mean, listen to McCoy. He's so in the pocket. Oh, man. None of these are on Spotify. But listen, Benson, on this first one. Oh, man, so smoking. And then, of course, we had Steve Gadd. Somebody got that, right? And then Vinnie Colaiuta. Check it out. But then I put my Bruno Mars thing in here to show the difference. I mean, it's a joke, right? I mean, listen. Come on. Or this is little Max Martin. I mean, come on. But compared to this? What? Come on. No feel. Bruno Mars? This is like a toy. Wait, not that. Hold on. That compared to this? Oh, we gotta listen a little bit more of McCoy here. Hold on. Let me stretch this out a little bit. Or toy. Oh, I mean, come on, right? Little Train and Elvin. I love that. Dun, 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 dun. It's beautiful. Man. Okay, Don, feels like who's not interested in bringing you along for the journey? I don't get that. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What does that mean? What does that mean? I want to know what that means. You mean that the jazz guys aren't? That was oh, with Wes? I'm not sure who was playing with Wes actually on that. No, that's not. That's that's what's his name? Harold oh jeez. Is it Mayburn? Is that his name? Yeah, it's a rhythm section that he had for this gig in '65. It feels selfish. No, Don, you don't understand. Harold Mayburn, that's right. You don't understand the language, Don. It's Chinese to you. I understand the language. Okay? That's why it feels selfish. Okay, if someone speaks Chinese and you don't understand it, do you think they're selfish? Is that what you think? That somebody's selfish just because you don't understand what they're saying? I understand what they're saying. I'm sorry you don't understand it. What is this selfish crap? Selfish. You gotta listen, man. You gotta feel it. It's all in there, you gotta feel it in your soul, man. You gotta listen to it. Ridiculous. Does this sound like feel? Where is it? Where's this stupid thing? This? Where is it? Is that what you do? That's what you get? That's your thing right there? That? You feel that? It's not a new language. It's an old language, Kinch. And check it out. It's worth it. It's an old language. It's a new language to Don. It's an old language. It's called music. It's called real music. Real humans playing. It's not a bunch of ones and zeros. That's what this is. Ones and zeros. Right here. Camilo! My man! Everybody Camilo. One of my favorite guitar players in the world. So, Camilo, you came in at the right time. I'm talking about Feel, and I'm playing this. I'm playing this from Bruno Mars. But then I play this. Wes. Or this. That or this? Come on, man. Or this? Listen, I appreciate multiple forms of music, okay, as much as anybody, probably more than anybody. But this is ridiculous, okay? That other stuff is all ones and zeros. Wes didn't like quantizing his sessions in Pro Tools. Exactly. I mean, this is unbelievable. It's unbelievable, man. This is real. This is the, this is real music right here. This is toy music. This is for little kids. That's ones and zeros, baby. This is all ones and zeros here, okay? This is real music right here. It doesn't matter what train's playing there with Elvin. It doesn't matter. It's so in the pocket, it's ridiculous. He can play any notes. It's phenomenal. That's Train, Camilo. That's Train and Elvin playing together, playing impressions. Smoking. Here, I'll play a little more earlier. Check this out. Like, how can you not move your body to that? Don, how do you change what you hear? Well, it's it comes down to speaking a language. It's people can't enjoy things that they feel disconnected from and not understanding. I mean, unfortunately, you have to understand it. You can't listen to a comedian speaking some other language and get the jokes if you don't speak the language. You just can't. How do you understand it? You can't understand nuance. It's like people, it's like my assistant Aaron. He's German. He comes in here and the first day and he's like, "What time do you want me in tomorrow?" I said, "I don't know, between 10 and 10:30." And he just looks at me. Between 10 and 10:30. I was like, "Oh, I forgot you're German, man. 10:15." But some people don't understand things like sarcasm. If you don't speak English really well, I'm not saying Aaron doesn't understand. He totally understands it. But some people don't understand sarcasm because it requires your ability to recognize and it's your ability to recognize nuance in someone's voice, right? So so understanding the language is all part of enjoyment for it, I mean, for me, this is really visceral. When I listen to Train and Elvin play here, I mean, there's, look, when I play Benson is so just grooving. Camilo, these are all videos. They're not going to shut me down. I got it figured out here. I'm playing these all from videos, so none of these are going to get banned. That's why I put together these clips for a video. But I was so the video was going to be talking about feel, and I thought, okay, I thought about going around to all these people I've interviewed and say to Victor Wooten, Victor, send me a little clip with you talking into your phone about what you think feel is. Dennis Chambers, Dennis, who has greatest feel. Man, Dennis Chambers, you guys know Dennis Chambers? Drumming, forget it. I want to say, Dennis, what is feel? Send me a clip of what you think feel is, or great feel is, or the definition of feel. Or groove, pocket, because it's all these different things. And having them be in the video talking about it. So anyways, I listen to that stuff and I just, I don't understand how people don't feel the power in this. Like, I don't care what Train is playing in this thing. Well, Train can play anything. It's like Matheny when he was interviewed in that lesson. He's talking about Brecker could play anything. Doesn't matter. He can play all wrong notes, and it's just like you can play anything. You just use a chromatic scale. And then Matheny demonstrates it, and it's like Train playing here, but Train's not just playing anything. There's some Brecker for you right there. Elliot, you know what I'm talking about. It just you just hear it and it's, oh man, it's like the heaviest rock music to me. So heavy. Just kills me. I hear that stuff. It's so smoking. God. Okay. The Plemon. Let's see. Benson's very approachable. If you're brought up on this 145s and simple childlike melodies, takes time to get used to. Totally agree. Totally agree. That's exactly my point right there. Is that thank you, Kevin, very much. Very much. I think too is like being passionate about music people are so academic about music and here I am talking, right? There are a couple of Freddie Hubbard records with, Freddie Hubbard, Camilo, is the unsung. I'm going to do a whole Freddie Hubbard episode because nobody talks about Freddie Hubbard anymore. And Freddie Hubbard and George Benson together, forget it. Amazing. Getting used to is a thing. Absolutely. You get used to stuff. The first time you hear it, you're like, oh, that sounds really weird. Then the second time you hear it, it's like, it's really weird too. Then 25 times later, you're like, man, I really like that weird thing there. Then 500 times later, you're like, oh man, this is like, how did I ever think that was weird? That's like the best thing I've ever heard. Camilo, send me the video of Christian McBride talking about that. I want to see that. Acquired taste, Ray. That's right. That's what it is. That's all it is. It's acquired taste. I mean, really. Conditioning. Yes. Um, you play those weird lines, and it's like, what is that? That sounds really strange. Then you play it a few more times, um, and then and then you ask the person, like, man, I love what you were playing there. Oh, I was playing a half step off of what I wanted to play. Well, that sounded great. Do more of that. Um, Daniel, it helps immensely if you grew up with it. Today, you have to go looking for jazz. You're 66, you grew up with jazz all around. Very true. Very true. Um, but I mean, look, not every one of us. How many people here? This is interesting. I've never asked this. Have a parent that was a professional musician? I know Elliot did, but how many people here have had a parent that was a professional musician? Or I mean, professional musician meaning they could have been a college professor, whatever, but a professional. They played music for a living. I'm really curious about that. I mean, I did not, but um, let's see. Let's see how many people. No, no, no. First musician family. No, no. Father and great grandfather. Okay. Uncle's professional. No parents. I want to see parents. Professional that actually made their living from it. Father and grandfather. Uh, no, no, no. Grandparents on a large organ. Nope, no. Martin, yes. Only musician in the family. Dad was a pianist. Camilo, your dad was a classical or jazz pianist? Mother was self-taught. Uncle played in a rock band, was big influence. Dad amateur, distant cousin played cello. No pros that you know of. Mom sang choir. Um, Great grandfather taught at university. That's kind of far away, Kevin. Great grandfather. Relatives to church performances. Um, no, Victor. Um, it's really now my parents weren't professional musicians, but two of my aunts were music teachers. My uncle Frank played bass in Woody Herman's band, my mom's brother. But and two of my mom's sisters were music teachers. One of them still is, my Aunt Marion. She's still teaching. Step grandfather violinist, introduced you to jazz. Your father played the gut bucket. Oh, brother, Don, nice. Close enough. Sister was a piano prodigy. Is or was a piano prodigy. Um, yeah, so if you grew up with music in the house with a professional, a parent that was a professional instrument, then you know um, obviously that's that can be tremendously beneficial. But it doesn't. I mean, you can get exposed to a lot of different music at an early age than you might not have been. Um, but I had six siblings that all were into different kinds of music. And my dad listened to jazz, and my mom, like I said, her family were all music teachers. Um, so I was very lucky in that way. And I think just as important as my dad being into jazz and my mom, my mom was an incredible music lover. Having every one of my siblings liked a different kind of music, and they all just retreated into their own rooms and and listened to their own, or put their headphones on, whatever, and listen to their own kind of music. So. Um, Now we have ones and zeros, Brett. Okay, I had a great comment. Somebody wrote an incredibly good comment on my. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Right here. Somebody wrote a great and a really interesting comment that I saved in one of my videos today. And I read an article about this as well. So it's this guy says, talking about this thing called digital atrophy. Society no longer does analog stuff anymore. I'm part of the problem. I haven't bought an instrument or piece of gear from a brick and mortar store in over a decade, nor have I purchased a complete album by a new artist since 2008. Interacting with real musicians forced me to shut up and listen, which teaches real musical appreciation and provides encouragement to keep practicing. Well, we suck less each day. I've slacked, thus I suck more now than I did 2 years ago. Buying complete albums once forced you to really know a band. Now online downloads of the single most popular track leave 11 other songs unlistened to. Thus, the bands are never really known, thus never develop a true following, and so it goes. Had I not bought the complete Joshua Tree CD, I wouldn't have known Exit. Had I not mentioned Exit to a real musician, she in turn would never have pulled my coat to PJ Harvey, Jaco Pastorius, or Pat Metheny, and I'd be a lesser man for it. So it's just one thing, but a bunch of things changing music and culture. Downloads, online purchase and delivery of music. It goes on. It's absolutely fascinating talking about this. This is just a comment in one of my videos today. But I thought that was a really interesting point. That when you used to buy an album, you weren't forced to listen to it, but you'd buy it and you'd listen to the side. If the song was in the song that you liked that you heard on the radio was in the middle of a side, you don't want to scratch your record. You'll just listen through the whole thing because you don't want to be dropping the needle on it and scratching your brand new record. So you get to know all these album tracks, which end up becoming your favorite songs anyways. So you get into this deeper understanding of an artist, a deeper appreciation because you listen to their album tracks, which are typically their better songs. So anyways, it's I just think it's it's just like all of this. It's kind of that certain you just through one thing or another, you're listening to a record and you hear something. I remember hearing I've talked about this before. I heard this Carlos Rios solo on a Gino Vanelli track, and that a friend of mine played for me, and he was playing altered licks. I played it on here one night, and it was with distortion. I was like, "What is that? That is amazing." I was thinking, like, that kind of sounds like Joe Pass, but it's rock. How's he use those notes on there? And then I start listening to more fusion stuff like that, and then I found Holdsworth. Because somebody turned me on to the first UK record or whatever, Anyways, all right. I'm going to calm down now. I'm good. I'm going to go. I'm going to think about my feel video. I'm going to read Victor's book. But I'm going to make the feel video. I just started putting all my clips together. I have all video clips, though, so I won't get dinged on it. Anyways, all right, so check out tomorrow will be my Red Hot Chili Peppers, What Makes This Song Great. I'm going to get back and do some real videos, not real videos, but some music stuff after day after tomorrow. You guys are amazing. And I'll have a new thing on Instagram tomorrow. All right? Thank you. Have a good night.